Welcome to the 38th Annual Parkmont Poetry Festival. This will be the first year that we haven't gathered shoulder to shoulder to listen to heart-opening poetry and talk about it afterwards over cupcakes and punch. But although we're not able to assemble, the voices of these 40 winning poets could not be silenced. Parkmont head of school Ron McLean and longtime board member Judy Lentz founded the Parkmont Poetry Festival in 1982 with the inestimable Lucille Clifton as our first judge. And every year since then, it has become something of a rite of spring in DC. But 2 months ago, just as we were all learning to video conference and sanitize our homes and make our own masks, we asked these 40 poets, 20 from DC middle schools and 20 from DC upper schools, to put their poetry on film using their cell phones, tablets, laptops, and video cameras. They went into their dining rooms and porches and bedrooms and gardens to face the camera. It must have been at least as daunting as stepping up to a podium and microphone in front of some 200 gathered guests. The film you are watching now is a collective labor of love, of course by the poets, but also their families, mentors, friends, and the folks I like to think of as the connective tissue of this poetry village, the teachers. We had a formidable team of judges: Susan Scheid, Jose Padua, Court Bledsoe, and our finalist judge, Patricia Gray. Before we hear from the poets, I'd like to name each of the teachers that sponsored a winning submission in 2020 and to salute them. Michael Brown, Samuel Miranda, Francesca Dixon, Becky Farnham, Claire Berkey, Kelly Malahan, Eileen Hughes, Aisha Sidibe, Nicholas Michalopoulos, Jan McGlennon, Bridget Mullins, Tu Nguyen, Joe Ross, Katie Danver, Nancy Schwab, and the writers in residence at DC Creative Writing Workshop, Whitney Warren, Ebony Brown, Nadia Mahdi, Shakir Ghazi, Ethan Cunin, John Chichello, Hayes Davis, Kristen Mink, Brandwin Williams, and Ovita Willie Jenkins. These poems are your success every bit as much as your students. And finally, a tradition of our festival has been to welcome our longtime guiding spirit and festival MC, Sharan Strange. She watched these videos down in Atlanta, where she teaches at Spelman College, and shared some remarks with us for this film. She'll be presenting our winning poets. I know you'll enjoy them.
Hello, welcome to the 2020 Parkmont Poetry Festival, marking our 38th anniversary. I'm Sharan Strange, poet and festival MC. Each year we honor 40 young poets, 40 students from middle schools and high schools around the greater Washington, D.C. area. And typically we come together in a school or a church, but this year, under the unprecedented conditions of a global pandemic, the festival is, for the first time, a virtual gathering. We need poetry more than ever. We poets have the power to shift human consciousness, and the shift in human evolution that we so desperately need now is one away from greed and the hoarding of resources, irrational fear and rejection of others, punishment, vengeance, war, and toward more empathy, more compassion, more justice, more sharing and nurture and support of our human family. To help to foster that kind of evolutionary leap is the most sacred work that poetry can do, especially now, given the many societal and global crises we face. But in its basic, ordinary, day-to-day work, poetry simply connects us to each other, because poetry asks us to listen to and hear one another, to be open and vulnerable, not entirely so sure of ourselves, yet willing to discover what we know and don't know about one another. What excites me year after year is the imperative of community that this festival invokes. In talking about poetry's relationship to community, the late poet Kamau Brathwaite said, "The audience completes the community. The noise and sounds that the poet makes are responded to by the audience and returned to the poet. Hence," he said, "we have the creation of a continuum where the meaning truly resides." So even with this virtual medium, your attention and participation is vital. Let us take the voices of these poets into our minds, into our hearts. In making their poems, they have reached beyond themselves in gestures of empathy and compassionate involvement with others. This festival celebrates the spirit of that engagement. As always, we are proud of all of the students who submitted their poems for consideration, and we are especially pleased to present the 40 finalists. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you will enjoy the festival. We begin with the winning poem, "At a Thrift Store," by Coco Campbell Brainard, a 6th grader at Sidwell Friends School.
Hi, my name is Coco, and I'm a 6th grader at Sidwell Friends School, and this is my poem, "At a Thrift Store." Sitting on shelves with ripped blue jeans and stained black shirts, an abandoned Argyle sweater from last season waits to be adopted. There is a poem among these discarded threads. There are so many clothes, folded, strewn, abandoned, and ignored. I almost stop looking. Then there is this one skirt, picked at last, woven with words, each one intricately threaded into the next line. In a big pile of lost, I have found the meaning. Poetry is the found among the discarded, not known and hard to understand, like leaves blown away by the wind. Poetry is the girl in the back of the store, not hiding but hidden, black hair and glasses with garments in her basket, like the words in a line. She sees the hidden beauty in unwanted things. She finds the true meaning. She can find the poetry in a store full of old clothes. Thank you.
Thank you, Coco, for that wonderful poem that centers the metaphor of poetry as discovery and discovery of the self. Our next winning poem is "Cargo" by Julian Montes-Sharp.
Hi, my name is Julian Montes-Sharp, and I'm an 8th grader at Georgetown Day School. This is my poem, "Cargo." Rescued from the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, found amidst piles of debris, lucky enough to find its way, leaving the tropical island of Puerto Rico behind. One of the lighter cargo, weighing only 14 pounds, awkwardly shaped, too long and too skinny, needs to be protected. The label says please handle with care. Scared and unsure because the engines are loud and the space is too dark. Lonely as there is no one around, the nearby cargo all feel the same way. It arrives at Dulles Airport, not its final destination. Many people come and visit. One family falls in love, then brings it home. Big brown eyes look out the window, still scared but not alone. The cargo is still growing, now 33 pounds and 1-year-old, more confident and self-assured. Always with the brown and white 4-legged companion, Rafael Noche, my springy black lab whippet mix.
Again, another wonderful poem. I think it very poignantly captures some of the angst associated with Hurricane Maria, but also endearing because of the little four-legged friend in the poem. Our next winning poem is by Mijia Williams. It's read by her friend Daisha Wilson. Infinity Limit.
Hi, my name is Daisha Wilson, and I'm going to read Mijia Williams' poem. It's called Infinity Limit. Elements are my life. A calculator is my time. Factors are my enemy. My base is a face of Q. Analyze my plates right. Sat down, thinking about you. Plane, fly normal. Slope, the line above love. Logic based on the real number, a theory of life. Thank you.
Again, another wonderful poem that centers a metaphor, extended metaphors having to do with math and logic. I especially love the line, slope, the line above love. Our next winning poem is by TaKiyah Chappelle, Very Thrush Wings.
Hello, my name is TaKiyah Chappelle. I'm in the 8th grade. I go to Howard Middle School in Mathematics and Science. And the title of my poem is Very Thrush Wings. Very thrush wings flutter on my window, singing a song of rebirth and grace, singing to my sleeping soul. Their voices dance with such ease, I sing along and brush my hair with pleats. Next morning awaits, and the voices I greet, the very thrush wings flutter and speak, singing a song of rebirth and grace, singing to my sleeping soul, the song of warmth and a new beginning. I fell in love with their wings without resisting. Very thrush wings flutter on death, singing a song short of their breath, singing to my exhausted soul, the song of dead dirt and soil. And now that song makes my blood boil. The mother of my mother flutter in heaven, she sang a song of life and creation. She sang a song of beauty and poise, the song that my mother sang to me, the passing of the song came to be. Next morning awaits, in clouds I greet, wings did not flutter for me to meet. So I sang a song of rebirth and grace, sang a song of warmth, sang to my sleeping grandma's soul, may she rest in those wings and be spoiled with gold. Very thrush wings flutter on my window. Thank you. That's it. Bye.
What a poignant, elegiac poem. I just love the metaphor again of the song and the passing of the song, and the speaker then using that song to soothe and to remember. Our next winning poem is by Esmeralda Carranza Morales. Esmeralda is a 10th grader at E.L. Haynes Public Charter School. Her winning poem is titled Doesn't Have a Name Yet. And Esmeralda was not able to prepare the poem for us, so I will read it. Doesn't have a name yet? There are some days where I go outside, see the same two birds fight for something. Some days it can be a worm, a piece of bread, a stick. At times the two birds remind me of my parents arguing. Sometimes the arguments are about money, my father's drinking problem, my siblings causing problems, or at times little random things. Then these two birds remind me of myself, arguing with my other side. If I should do the right thing or be a daredevil, if I should go right or left, ask myself again, or just do it. Just those two birds bring up everything from my life. But then, what if those two birds were showing their love for each other? Reminds me of my parents buying things for each other, telling each other, I love you. My father getting flowers for my mother making his favorite dish. They remind me of my life now, reaching to that person that needs my love, sending a message in the morning, I hope you have a good day, leading that person to the right path, walking with them to their destination, giving that person a reason to believe in themselves. Well, it's a wonderful poem, Esmeralda, a wonderful poem of being attuned to life and also being empathetic and caring. Our next winning poem is by Eleanor Schneider of Georgetown Day. Eleanor's poem is Clean My Locker.
Hello, my name is Eleanor Schneider, and I am in 6th grade at Georgetown Day School. This is my poem, Clean My Locker. Why do you want me to clean out my locker? I just don't understand. My locker is quite neat, in fact, the cleanest in the land. So what if it takes me an hour to find the school supplies inside? It's not like it's a major problem happening worldwide. And who cares if the pile of gunk inside has started to decompose? It shouldn't be a problem if the locker door is closed. What's the problem if there might be something growing in there? It's not alive and sentient, as far as I'm aware. And the smell? It's not like everyone's barfed or anything because of the stink. Only 12 or 13 kids have fainted so far, I think. My locker is perfectly squeaky clean, thank you very much. The cleanliness level of it has been drastically misjudged.
I love the humor of that poem, and I think probably most students can relate to that kind of situation. Maybe not as bad. All right, again, lovely poem, Eleanor. Our next winning poem is by Angela Ding. It's titled Black Diamonds.
Hi, my name is Angela Ding. I'm a 6th grader at Tidwell Friends School, and this is my poem, Black Diamonds. When I was a toddler, I did not love my thick black static hair that fell straight on top my shoulders, which I thought sure could not compare. While they tossed their light locks and fluffed out their braids, they told me my strands were coarse, unlike theirs that easily frayed. I wished my eyes were not dark and black, like murky, tainted water, far different from the crystal ocean that I had always admired. My skin was tinted with different hues, not like theirs that shone and glowed. I wanted to be like them. I thought only then would I feel at home. Everywhere I went, I said, when I grow up, I'll be a blonde, eager and excited about a magical fairy wand to turn my hair soft and wavy, forgetting all my shades of dark navy, to add platinum highlights at the tips of my curls that would wind down my back in delicate swirls. I wanted the bright colored trails that curved in their eyes and a noticeable pupil that couldn't be disguised. I said I wanted to dye my eyes with the mix of green and blue, because only then could I say my eyes are turquoise too. But through all these years, it's in this skin I have grown. It has been my thick black hair that cushioned every fall. It has been these eyes that were my windows to understanding it all. And even though it took some time, now I finally see my black diamond eyes can sparkle just as bright as any of yours can be.
It's a wonderful poem of self-acceptance. I'm so glad that it's a part of our winning crop of poems this year. Our next winning poet is Archie A.J. Lacey. His poem is titled, I'm Byron Watson.
I'm A.J. Lacey. I'm in the 6th grade and I'm from Alsdale Middle School. The title of my poem is I Am Byron Watson. I'm from bad attitudes and acting tough, like a juvenile delinquent. I'm from Flint, Michigan, the coldest place on the planet. I'm from the place where tears turn to ice cubes and the snow and cold wind hangs around. In Flint, lips get stuck on frosty windows. They tasted sour, bitter, and almost sweet. I'm from icicles all over the house. The whole family huddled on the couch in our coats, and snow always covering Dad's favorite car, the brown bomber. I'm from a caring mom, a dork brother, a funny dad, and a crybaby sister, but I love them all. I'm from Swedish creams, jeans and suspenders, and visiting my grandma in Birmingham, Alabama, where church bombs kill innocent girls just because they were black.
That's a complex poem. I really appreciate the imagery of family and place, the little humorous digs at the siblings. Then yet it takes us to a very serious and grave place at the end. So I love the way that it sort of accrues this weightiness and significance as we move through it. Congratulations, AJ. Our next winning poem, Retaliation versus Alliteration, is by Jahir Gray, an 11th grader at Uppuluri Senior High School.
Hello everybody and good evening. My name is Jahir Gray. I am in the 12th grade at Uppuluri Senior High School. And the title of my poem is called Retaliation versus Alliteration. Okay, here we go. When you walk into the walls of whispering weeping willows, overflowing with flower-feathered filled pillows, there lies a portal full of evil soulless mortals, maniacal, misogynistic morons. Shoot 'em all with an AK-47, blow up the stereo, and turn it up to 11. Conquer and defeat, destroy, crash and deploy. Create, recreate, reiterate, alliterate, retaliate, elevate. When words collide, they conquer and divide. Things you can't resist, they'll fall apart and they'll never exist. I'm spitting, shooting, and shining big bad bombs, busting rhymes, toll times, fools committing crimes, clock chimes, money bagging with dollars, cents, and dimes. Mank rolling, Sunday strolling, blow up the joint, clear, concise, I'll get to the point. What's yours is mine, point blank. I just stole and won this competition, and that's the finale of my rendition. Thank you.
I enjoyed that poem, Jahir, especially the wordplay, dazzling rhythmic moves throughout the piece. Certainly a finesse. Next we have Roller Coaster in the McKenna Center by Adam Uppuluri.
Hello, my name is Adam Uppuluri, and I'm in the 11th grade at Gonzaga College High School, and this is my poem, Roller Coaster in the McKenna Center. Some people fear the unknown stars, the unwalked with, the unseen, the unheard. I looked away too, but then push, fall, there. He sat in front of me before him, or rather, him before me, eating the same meal. Talked an awkward conversation, ate a quiet meal, uncomfortable, how we both felt. My blood couldn't circulate, my own words strangled me, but then he spoke. He told me about the clenched fist thrill of traveling, like a roller coaster. His journey went around the world. I felt the bumping in my seat, the breeze throwing back my hair, my stomach rolling around somewhere inside of me. Nigeria originally, he called it home, then Germany and France and so many more. In that split second, the world froze around us, like it was muted. No one else talking, no TV in the background. And after everything unfroze, just Maxwell and me. Thank you.
Thank you for that poem, again, that displays some sort of empathetic connection with another human being. Congratulations, Adam. Our next winning poem is The Barrier by Lina Fawaz, an 8th grader at Georgetown Day School.
Hi, I'm Lina. I go to Georgetown Day School, and I'll be reading my poem, The Barrier, or in Arabic, Al-Hajiz. The language my mother and father speak. My cousins and grandparents don't understand me fully. The beautiful, complex language is a barrier. It stops me from conversations with my families overseas. It stops me in the airport. They see the language as a threat. The language that forces my mother to ask me to speak. She does not want her strong, beautiful accent to allow others to make assumptions. The assumption that my nationality makes me an unsafe person to be around. But when someone asks me where I'm from, I proudly announce that I'm half Lebanese, half Palestinian, born in a country where I'm told I'm free to express myself in my ethnicity. Liar! I'm judged when I speak my language. I'm judged when I say I'm a proud Arab American girl. Judged when I wear black, white, red, and green instead of red, white, and blue. Judged if I don't eat typical American food. This country lied to me. I'm not free, I'm judged, but I refuse to cover my identity. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina, for your passionate poem. I appreciate the spirit and the will and the resistance in your words. Our next winning poem is Short and Simple by Caden Turner-Adams.
Hi, my name is Caden Turner-Adams. I'm a junior at Benjamin Banneker Academic High School, and this is my poem, Short and Simple. I hope you enjoy. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. One day I'm out at CVS trying to buy some Pringles. I pay with $1 bill and some change, and the cashier doesn't cash it. He holds the dollar to the light and marks them coins. I ask him what he did that for. He said he's just taking precaution. I guess I got that. But as I'm walking, another dude came in and bought the same thing I did. The cashier doesn't do to him what he had done to me. I started to get mad, like, what about my broken glasses look so intimidating? Gonna leave it right there. Gotta keep it short and simple. So I take my chips and I head to the train station. 15 minutes, guess I gotta be patient. That's when this one dude came up to me, started talking crazy. His eyes was distant and a little hazy. He asked me for $4, and of course I had some cash. But first I had to ask, what you finna do with it? He said, nothing, man. I just want a sandwich. So I act like, bruh, man, they say, cool, man, here you go. Dude looked appreciative and said, Lord bless your soul. Then walked straight past the sub shop to a man on the corner. I'm gonna leave it right there. Gotta keep it short and simple. So now I'm on the train headed home. Sun's down and I'm feeling real sleepy. We pull up to a station that's not mine, but I still had to get off. The police was there and they was pulling people off. Latino, Asian, no white. Oh wait, there's a female being pulled off now. And black too. That was me. See, they was trying to find a thief or something, but I wasn't stressing. I believed I was blessed and I wouldn't second guess it. But as I'm lying there on the grungy pavement, I remember this movie with Michael B. Jordan. Something about a Fruitvale station. Both stories end the same way. With a bang. But I'm gonna leave it right there. Gotta keep it short and simple. Thank you.
That's a poem that speaks to what's happening with the young people and what's happening with many other people in our society right now. So timely and disturbing, but we need to hear those stories. Thank you, Caden. The next winning poem is by Ariana Marquez, an 11th grader at E.L. Haynes Public Charter School, with the winning poem, Two Sides to the Same Story.
My name is Ariana Marquez. I'm in the 11th grade. I go to E.L. Haynes High School. And I apologize for the glare in my glasses. I don't know how to get rid of that. But the title of my poem is Two Sides to the Same Story. Papa and Mama gave my brothers a talk yesterday. She said I didn't need it, but I could join if I still wanted to be informed on it. I never understood the talk. Never understood why everyone was so scared after it. I also never understood why they said it stuck to their minds, yet when the time comes, they forget all the steps Papa and Mama told them. One thing happened and my brothers had a slight encounter with the police. I don't think it was that bad, right? But maybe that's why they never told me the context of the meeting in their office downtown. My brothers are good boys. No attitudes, no issues. At least that's what Papa said they should be when they see a man in a blue uniform pull them over. Keep your hands far apart on the dashboard, over the wheel. Don't reach for anything unless asked for it. Describe your every move before you do it. We don't want no more burials on this block or in this house. My brothers asked Papa, why do we need to know this? A couple days later, they found out. Please pull your vehicle over, sir. Can I see your ID? Are you under the influence? Do you know why I pulled you over? My brother thought he was supposed to answer that last question. He told the white man in the blue uniform, I don't know, some dumb reason probably. Dumb? Oh, you think driving too slow is dumb, huh, son? My brother, oh, he forgot the most important step. Don't argue back unless you have a death wish. He told that man, on an empty highway, do you know, on average in the United States, a police officer takes the life of a citizen every 7 hours? I should know. I have an app that tells me so. That day, March 24th, 2015, my brother was the name I saw in that app. Poor brown-skinned baby, now missing his life. All because of a system that contradicts our talk completely. Now, Cadet, tell me what you've learned today. Pull over anyone with skin color different from ours. Speak kindly, but insult them so they get ghetto. Accuse them of things, simple ones at that. If I see them move at all, fire. Mama and Papa taught us everything they could. Told us because we darker and different, they not gonna always like us. It's not like how Tupac said. We lost my brother. To the very people who promised to protect and serve. Thank you, Cadet. You pass. Congrats, you're a certified killer protected by the law.
Sometimes these poems are disturbing and painful to hear, but they speak to the kinds of realities that our society is facing in a very direct way right now. So I appreciate Ariana's poem, and I'm happy that we are able to hear those voices and to hear those stories. But sad that it happens for some of us at such an early age. Our next winning poem is by Damill Bostic. Damill is a student in the 8th grade at Washington Jesuit Academy. His winning poem is Where Are You From?
My name is Damill Bostic. I go to the Washington Jesuit Academy, and this is my poem. Where are you from? I am from the time she didn't have it, from the missing handles on the car door, the years we lived with my aunt, the beatings that left me in tears. I am from the sad walk from Holy Cross. Where are you from? I am from the laughter with them, from the countless movie nights, from the times I slept with her, the moments where I was mad at her. I am from the love she gave me. Where are you from? I am from the calls homes, from the years below grade level, from the books I wish I read. I am from the teachers who cared. Where are you from? I am from the fields of Marlow Heights, the slippery courts of Sea Pleasant, the cold days of Fort Washington. I am from the 15 years of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Damill. Again, another poignant poem, a touching poem. Another person being open and vulnerable. Our next winning poem is I Am by Ava Blum of Georgetown Day School.
Hello, my name is Ava Blum. I'm in 9th grade at Georgetown Day School, and this is my poem, I Am. I am from pens of every size and shape, collected throughout journeys across new landscapes. I am from olive oil and coconut cream, smooth, pure, and smelling sweet, tastes like sandpaper and gelatin on my tongue. I am from the blue house, hidden beneath the trees, warm, small, yet it makes room for us all. I am from dandelions, and pretending they're flying seeds are fairies riding the air. I am from sparkling apple cider and traveling the world, savoring each drink of heaven I take from the sky. I'm from the honest aides and late bloomers, from the non-negotiables and estrecha la mano. I am from unity around a tree, covered in lights, ornaments, and each person's glee. I'm from George Washington Hospital, D.C. In my blood runs immigrant ancestry. I am from biting into the dessert of the moon, soft, sticky, and sweet, filled with red bean paste and the occasional dim sum I long for. I am from shepherd's pie, hot, creamy, savory. My mouth melts from the heat as I jig to the fiddle, gillies on my feet. I am from tapas and Spanish bars, cheese, olives, oysters, caldo gallego, small dishes with every imaginable color. Hot, cold, sweet, sour, balanced by music during happy hour. I'm from swinging on swings, my feet bare, moving my toes as I fly through the air. I'm from my main entrance hall, full of distant worlds that reside on the wall. I am from wishing I could dive into these moments, forever frozen in time, and come back with a souvenir. I am Ava.
Thank you, Ava. That's such a delightful poem. I love all of the details. You got me with the food. I especially love the line, I am from biting into the dessert of the moon. That's a luscious line. And I really appreciate the personality and spirit that comes through in your reading of the poem. Our next winning poem is authored by 3 poets, Emma Pardo, Allie Hellerman, and Melanie Breslin. They are all students at Sheridan School, and their poem is titled American.
My name is Emma Pardo. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm 14.
Hi, I'm Allie Hellerman, and I'm in 8th grade.
Hello, I'm Melanie Breslin. I'm 14 and I'm in 8th grade.
She's been in this country since before she said her first words or learned her ABCs. Her first steps were walked on the same soil as yours were. It was on this land that her tufts of peach fuzz turned into the beautiful, long locks they are now. How is she any less American than you?
He spends hours picking tomatoes, red like dried blood encased in cracks on his knuckles. His stomach pleads, begs for food as he shucks corn, again and again. Ch, 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 so that your dinner plate isn't empty. He picks and picks, shucks and shucks all day, nail beds bleeding, throat dry from lack of water, like sun beating down on his hot back. She gets home from work, her back aching and her knees bruised from hours she has spent kneeling over toilets, scrubbing them raw. Her eyes teary from bottles and bottles of products she uses to make silk, expensive, luxurious clothes perfect. She gets home from work, drained, worrying that after 14 hours, it still isn't enough.
Every morning, she looks at her reflection, and her frizzy hair speaks and tells her, "You are not American." She spends hours trying to dull the voice, trying to flatten her hair and make her thick brown hair thin like the girls in her class. She pretends like she can't hear when her classmates call her an alien, put her in a zoo for them to spectate.
Pick and put in the basket, pick and put in the basket, over and over. Faster, they scream, and faster he goes, so they don't call him lazy. His life orbits around this one motion like Earth does sun. It is the only thing keeping him and his family alive. When the day is done, he returns home with little to nothing than he had the day before. Night after night, memories conquer her mind like stars filling the sky. Her baby boy had brown hair that could never be held down by a comb. His smile was a lottery ticket, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the first snowfall of the season. His cheeks round and red like so many apples that are picked by her people every day. His little plump hands were soft and smooth, unknown to dry skin or calluses. His eyes sparkled, still, peaceful blue. He was her everything.
She wishes that she could go home to her mother and father waiting for her at the door like all the families in all the Hallmark movies. So she tries to hide her loathing and embarrassment when they come home after 14-hour shifts, their joints aching from endlessly picking, harvesting, shoving, and cleaning, being treated like they're anything but humans.
Hands tired, feet tired, body tired. He is tired. Tired of his employers forgetting to add a few $100s to his paycheck. Tired of having to hear his wife tell him about how she was assaulted by white men who chew on her and then spit her out like gum. Tired of watching his children come home, bruises paste on their faces that cover their expressions of guilt and embarrassment for being where they are from. Her son was her everything, yet thin green paper invaded her mind and poisoned her thoughts. Because when your baby boy can't get better, can't get healthy, you start questioning everything. America is the only solution to fix everything. So she left her perfect boy and didn't watch him turn into a man.
She has been nothing but a friendly neighbor, a straight-A student, a helping hand. She never learned Spanish for fear people would realize that her caramel skin isn't the same shade as your fair skin. She followed all your rules.
Land of opportunity, American dream. But he is not living a dream. This is a nightmare, and no matter how many times he pinches himself, he can never wake up. She crossed the border, wall that divides her from her baby boy, crossed the border with nothing in her hands, but in her mind she carried the hope that this would help, not knowing that America would be filled with fear and terror, that one day she will pay the price for stepping across the border, and treated as if she will never be American.
You call her a criminal just because all those years ago she passed the barrier into her true home. How can you look at her brown skin and imagine badged men coming behind her, bringing her down to her knees as she bellows to be left alone, reaching out for her home, but her hands are tied back? How can you deny her from being American?
She has come here to help her family, yet her black hair and light brown skin will never be able to relax, take a breath, and if she does try and come for air, you will not help her. You will push her back down into the water so that she can't get any air, and watch as she sinks deeper and deeper into the dark, shameful water. Watch as she disappears. He gave his life to this country, and for what in return? He is exhausted, and yet this country continues to use his dream as a punching bag, knocking him down every chance they get. Bang, dirty wetback. Bang, thief. Bang, lazy Mexican. Bang, you don't belong. Bang, you are not American.
But they are American.
They are real. Hear their stories.
I want to applaud these three young poets for the beautiful empathy that this poem expresses. Thank you for taking the time to imagine others' lives and to advocate for more tolerance, more fairness, more justice through your poetry. Next, we have a poem by Gabriela Orozco, an 11th grader at the School Without Walls High School. Her winning poem is titled The Drooping Branches of a First-Generation American's Family Tree.
The drooping branches of a first-generation American's family tree. There is so much of me, an ocean full of my parents' memories. I drown underneath the damnations of my history. The weight of all my legacies, my countries, constrict my chest and make it hard to breathe. My roots have been scattered over 2 large seas. I don't know where my ancestors were buried. I am a hybrid seed, but the wind has swept me too far away from my family trees. I've never been to the cemeteries where the crucifixes stood watch. I can't find the land that could have been my burial plot. I know where my mother's tree grew. She was avocado pits and redbush rooibos leaves. My father's tree had bats in it, but I don't quite remember what type of fruit it grew, so I pretend it spreaded oranges like Gioconda Velis.
Thank you, Gabriela. It's a beautiful poem. I love the the meditation on family, the meditation on origins. I especially love the line, I am a hybrid seed, but the wind has swept me too far from my family trees. Again, thank you for that beautiful poem and congratulations. The next winning poem is titled Your Smile Waves Me By, BYE. And the poet is Lainey Polmateer of the Siena School.
Hi, my name is Lainey Polmateer. I'm in the 12th grade. I'm from the Siena School, and my poem is Your Smile Waves Me By. You fill me up like a pot of tea. I'm no longer empty. Your hugs and kisses always warm me, like a fuzzy blanket covering all of me. Your touch against my skin sent shivers down my spine. I wanted more. I wanted you to be mine. Your smile waves me by. I'm swarmed with butterflies. I thought everything was right, but you had a secret that was secretly in sight. It started slow, and you started to let go. Like hanging off the cliff, you let go of the rope. I was left with these questions. Why? My stomach dropped, oh so high. Your faded smile waves me by, and my tears drop to the side. Thank you.
I appreciate the poignancy of that poem. Again, the vulnerability and the honest expression of feeling. Our next winning poem is by Alexa Cohen, an 11th grader at the Murray School. The poem is titled Anne Arundel Medical Center, February 2019.
Hello, I'm Alexa Cohen, and I'm in the 11th grade at the Murray School, and this is my poem, Anne Arundel Medical Center. Deep in the maze of sterile hallways, machines beep while nurses whisper, and Papa Joe lies still, hand resting on his palm. His mind may be frail, but his hand is steadfast. He stirs. Reaching over, I put his hand in mine. Veins form peaks in the delicate skin, ridged fingernails like chipped stone, and brown splotches like spilled ink. Our fingers fit snugly. His warm grasp is tender, drawing me close on Passover and bringing me for long walks around the college, on worn paths by red brick halls, a haven of autumn light. His palms slip on the harsh metal bed frame, accustomed to gripping grainy wood, crisp pages, woven chairs, to splaying behind a cover and spine, to resting aside the pondering head, pausing to dutifully deliver perceptions to a page. With a devoted hand, abstract thought became sprawling script, pondering sculpted into meaning. The mind was a guide, a companion, a purpose. It was the study brimming with books, slowly deteriorating. Emptied shelves in a haze of dust, a confused toss of pages, maddening, incomprehensible writing, silent decay. Ever since the lonesome hand, left adrift, alone, abandoned by sagacity, merely a pen without ink coursing through. Standing by the doorway, both hands raise and extend toward the study, venerating a resilient friendship with open palms, before the yellow lights dim to black and he firmly shuts the door. I clutch his hand tighter in mine, a starry substitute, I think to myself, but he looks up at me, benevolent. I kiss him gently on the forehead and turn away as the yellow lights dim to black.
Another poignant poem. These poets are dealing with some of the most serious experiences, especially at such an age where life is still unfolding and opening before them. So I appreciate the capacity of this poem to deal with loss and to deal with endings. The next winning poem Before I move on, I should mention that this is the third time that Alexa Cohen has been a finalist in the Parkmont Poetry Festival. So it's the third time that we've had the pleasure of hearing a winning poem from Alexa. So well done and congratulations. Our next winning poem is Broken Hearts, Broken Minds by Octavia Johnson.
My name is Octavia Johnson. I'm in the 12th grade. I go to Blue Senior High School. The title of my poem is called Broken Hearts and Broken Minds. I have broken-hearted people around me. This is a real story, so pay attention. I lost a close friend. He was like a brother. When I got the phone call, my heart was broken. My mind went down some dark streets. People are walking around with broken hearts. Heaven and earth are not the same. Heaven is a magical place, and earth is hell, because we aren't doing things right down here. And everybody's acting like it's okay. Going through the cold seasons without family, still lost with broken hearts and broken minds.
Again, another poignant poem, a poem expressing the deep angst, the deep concern of a young spirit. So thank you for sharing that. And again, it's a real story. Our next winning poem is titled A Father. The poet is Miajah Spriggs, and the poem will be read by her friend, Nicholas Harrell. Miajah is a 10th grader at Benjamin Banneker High School.
A Father by Mijia Spriggs. No matter how much I tell myself I was better off without him, a part of me hopes that isn't true, that if he stayed, I have him and no one else would. If he stayed, my sweet, crazy mother would not have to sacrifice and endure so much. If he stayed, my brother would have had a better example of the man he should become. That if he stayed, I would have had someone capable of protecting me, someone to teach me my worth, to help me through all of my insecurities, and shield me from this dangerous yet beautiful world. I'd have a warm hand larger than my own to guide me. But instead, I had a father who was locked in a prison cell, dressed in a blue jumpsuit, covered in tattoos, who was part of many dangerous criminal gangs, and an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. It wasn't until my mother told me he was being deported that I grasped the full situation. As I leaned over the back of our couch, listened to my mom talking as she stood with her phone in her right hand, I realized at 8 years old, as a small petite child, I had lost my father. I would never see him again. I never share snacks with him from the vending machine. I never sit on his lap again. He never listened to us ramble on for hours. But the hardest thing I realized was he would live his life without us. We would live our lives without him. The last thing he told me was that he was proud of my brother and I. He wished my brother congratulations on graduating from high school, and we haven't texted or spoken since. The thing is, if he stayed, my mother would have had to endure much more. My brother would have had a terrible example of a man. And me? Well, I hope he's holding my little sister the way I wish he held me, because I'm no longer his baby.
It's a heartbreaking poem in many ways. But again, these are real stories in some sense. Whether the actual autobiographical experience of this poet or a story that characterizes someone else's life, It's heartbreaking to consider the ways that families are separated or pulled apart. Yet there's a resilience and a strength to this poet's voice, and I feel that in the poem. Our next winning poem is My Grandmother by Kimani Johnson, an 8th grader at Howard University Middle School of Mathematics and Science.
Hi, my name is Kimani Johnson. I am in the 8th grade and I attend Howard University Middle School of Mathematics and Science. This is my poem called My Grandmother. My grandmother, gone but never forgotten. Death is not the end. Her words telling me that she loves me. Her angels watching over me as I try to comprehend. I love my grandmother. I love her so well. Her warm hugs welcome me, but now that she's gone, my heart begins to swell. My love for her was like a pet, always clinging to its owner. But when that owner is gone, the pet will never forget. It just waits for it to come back as the days grow older. I wish she were here, spreading wise words in my ear. Although she has left me, she has impacted my life greatly. I wish she were here reassuring me, telling me I'm going to be okay, making her journey back home as her days start to slip away. Why did you do it? Why did you do it, Granny? Leaving me in the world, so sad and lonely. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimani, for that lovely tribute to your grandmother. Again, the sort of elegiac tone, the poignancy of those feelings being shared. The next winning poem is titled A Pipe Cleaner Pantoum. So I'm looking forward to this. I like pantoums. I call a pantoum an obsessive form because of the repetitions in the lines of the poem, and you will hear that in a moment. The winning poet is Giselle Silla of Georgetown Day School.
Hello, my name is Gigi. I'm in 12th grade at Georgetown Day School, and this is my poem, A Pipe Cleaner Pantoum. I remember only pieces of my childhood, the way I remember pieces of that podcast I fell asleep to last night, the way I remember pieces of that lecture during which I only doodled in curls, the way I remember pieces of that movie I watched in Portuguese that one time. The way I remember pieces of that podcast I fell asleep to last night, I remember sitting in a flimsy chair in the front of the beauty parlor. The way I remember pieces of that movie I watched in Portuguese that one time, I remember the crisp sound of scissors and the delicate fall of crescented hair. I remember sitting in a flimsy chair in the front of the beauty parlor, braiding pipe cleaners to pass the time. I remember the crisp sound of scissors and the delicate fall of crescented hair and the expected frustration of the pipe cleaner's permanent curl. Braiding pipe cleaners to pass the time, blue, white, and black. And the expected frustration of the pipe cleaner's permanent curl comes from the fact that blue, white, or black. No matter how many times I press the fuzzy wires between my thumb and forefinger, there comes the fact that the pipe cleaners will always be wrinkled. No matter how many times I press the fuzzy wires between my thumb and forefinger, no matter how many times I try to iron them straight, the pipe cleaners will always be wrinkled, not the smooth straight line that slid from the box. No matter how many times I try to iron them straight, I remember only pieces of my childhood. The way I remember pieces of that lecture during which I only doodled in curls, not the smooth, straight line that slid from the box. Thank you.
Well done, Gigi. The pantoum is a form that repeats lines. 2 lines from each stanza get interwoven between among the stanzas, and you could hear that there. And the thing about a pantoum, unlike a villanelle, the pantoum can be as long as you like, or as short as you like, to a certain extent. And that was a fairly long pantoum, so that takes a lot of control. Well done. The next winning poem is by Sophie Haar, Color, Light, and Life.
Hi, my name is Sophie Haar. I'm in 6th grade. I go to Sidwell Friends School.
and my poem is called Color, Light, and Life. Color, light, and life graced her eyes, graced her world, graced her life. And now she can see the soft blue sky covering the ends of the earth, the rain as it pitter-patters on the sidewalk, the sight of enchanting droplets. The lush green grass, for it smells like fresh sunshine and looks like a fairy tale garden. Her eyes are opened, so she can never look back to the dark. Before, all she saw was black. It used to be an endless void, sucking her in, limb by limb, eye by eye. There wasn't even a reason to dream about hope anymore. She has learned a new way to read, by gently grazing her finger on textural dots, and a new way to see, by getting used to the dark, until she finally opened her eyes.
Thank you for sharing that poem, Sophie. It's a complexity there. I think as we start at the beginning, we don't quite know what journey you're going to take us on, and you took us on a very interesting journey, especially as the poem turns with the gently grazing fingers on textual dots and a new way to see. And that's what's wonderful about poetry, showing the many ways that we can see through language. So thank you for that. Our next winning poem is My Escape by Quinn Fish.
Hello, my name is Quinn Fish and I am a junior at Gonzaga College High School. Here's my poem, My Escape. My trusty orange ball rests in my hands. The worries of tomorrow gone. Lunging to the left, I bounce the ball off the wood. My teacher's voice is no longer ringing in my head. I stop and prepare to shoot. My tests lose their importance. The ball rolls off my fingers. My parents' nagging quiets in the distance. At the sound of that swoosh, all my problems are gone. A round orange ball, the only way that I feel calm.
Thank you, Quinn. There's a poem that's fairly simple and straightforward in its structure and its details, but it's complex in terms of what it reveals about the poet's interior life and what's meaningful, what becomes a sort of passion for the poet. And I can appreciate that because once upon a time, I used to delight in playing basketball too. Next, we have the poem Checkmate by Sean Maxfield.
Hi, I'm Sean Maxfield from School Without Walls, and this is my poem, Checkmate. Velvet cushion, taping furnished wood. Tension builds, sweat dripping from cufflink to palm. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick. Arm extends to table's end. Moisture runs from the temple, dampening the face. Shift at shoulder, shift at elbow, up, place, checkmate.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate the imagery there and the sense of time suspended and suspense. Our next winning poem is Disguised Passion. The poet is Alexandra Lexi Rabasco, an 8th grader at Georgetown Day School.
Hi, my name is Lexi Rabasco. I'm an 8th grader at Georgetown Day School, and in honor of National Poetry Month, I will be reciting my poem entitled Disguised Passion. Passion is inside of a fencer. Dressed in all white, nobody knows the disguised girl. Lights are flashing, red and green. Beeps and clangs distract her from each side, but she must stay concentrated. She shows anger by slashing and clanging her sword through the air. She fights her hardest, panting and thrusting herself towards her competition. No one knows her. She is just another competitor. She is hungry to win, but must stay patient. Touch one, bam. Touch two, clang. Touch 3, slash. Touch 4, lunge. Touch 5. The audience is shocked. Who is the masked girl? A champion, a doubter, a fighter, or just an ordinary girl?
Thank you for that poem, Lexi. I've always been curious about the sport of fencing, and it does indeed look like a sport that's full of passion, but it's also a sport that involves some mystery, it seems, because everyone's covered up. And so, to your point, we're not quite sure who we're seeing. The next winning poem is by Henry Rosser. Henry is a 12th grader at Parkmont School. His poem is titled Slam Poetry About Road Work. And I should note that Henry was a finalist last year as well. So again, we get to hear one of his winning poems.
Thank you all for coming to the City Council meeting. Today's topic will be completing the receipt to fill in the concrete that the streets are needing. Sitting at the seat of District 3, I feel the heat to complete this bill. I've seen it in action. These potholes kill. But we need to assess the mess and make sure there's no excess in our spending. The press is unending when they're condescending to us. We need our address to be best. Councilman Cress. We still have time to buy the supplies so a kid doesn't scrape his knee and cry, so a driver doesn't go off-road and die. It doesn't matter how much it costs to buy, and that's the reason why. Open your eyes. I've opened my eyes. And by the by, you need to get your head out of the sky. Use your head and calculate the overhead expenses. Until then, our defense is to put up signs stating road work ahead. That will stop everyone from ending up dead. And what if you're wrong, Councilman Cress? Is that your best guess to avoiding the mess we were getting if this wasn't a success? We'd have to confess to the press about the mess. The stress would put this administration to a halt, so if someone skids on the broken asphalt, it would be your fault, Councilman Galt. You're treating this problem like it's an assault, pole vaulting over the arguments I provide. It's like you're hiding the fact that you want our treasury to default. Cress. Galt. I need to establish order in the meeting. This debate is heating, and I don't want anyone to be pressed into halting their best verbal assaults. This meeting is adjourned. I hope we've learned a bit more of where everyone's concerned. We'll come back in 15 minutes.
That was fun. I just love, so much going on in this poem. With slam poetry, there's a rule that it has to be 3 minutes or shorter. And so I was so caught up in all the wordplay, all the rhyme and rhythmic play. I'm not sure if I was a good timekeeper. But in any case, I really appreciate the various layers, content-wise, the narrative, the speakers, the form, and again, the wordplay and the rhythm. I imagine it must have been a joyful creative process in creating this poem. So again, congratulations, Henry. Our next winning poem is by Olivia Vergason. Olivia is a 12th grader at the Field School. Her winning poem is Rush Hour on the Metro.
My name is Olivia Vergason. I'm a junior at the Field School, and my poem is called Rush Hour on the Metro. My train pulls into the station with a gust of warm air. The doors slide open until they click into position. Please allow customers to exit before boarding the train. Then the mass of other commuters and I pack into the car as tight as possible. Step back to allow the doors to close. I don't like how close the man next to me is. I don't like how his body is turned to face my side. I don't like how as the train sways and rattles, I can feel the weight of his body leaning against mine, and slowly easing off when we turn to the right to navigate the underground tunnels, then leaning back on as we turn to the left. Stop being dramatic, it's all in your head, a stern voice tells me. Calm down and tough it out. But still, my heart is racing erratically, and I start to sweat under my hoodie. The air feels thick and heavy. My 5'2" frame has never felt so small, as it does when I feel his stomach press into my side and his arm looming over me to hold the bar above. I want nothing more than to get off at the next stop and sit there for however many hours it takes until the trains that come through are empty, completely devoid of people. But I also want to get home in time for dinner. So I ride down the line until the crowd dissipates, and then I take a seat by myself and ride in silence until I reach my destination. The doors slide open until they click into position. Please allow customers to exit before boarding the train. It's okay. I'm okay, I tell myself. I just don't like rush hour on the metro.
Thank you for that, Olivia. It's a somewhat harrowing narrative there, but the poem takes us right into the speaker's feelings, right into the kind of anguish and the kind of dilemma and struggle, the inner conflict one experiences in such situations. So I appreciate the verisimilitude of that piece. The next winning poet is Dylan Rosoff. Dylan is a student at Sidwell Friends, and his winning poem is Morning Coffee.
Hi, my name is Dylan Rosoff. I'm a senior at Sidwell Friends School. This is my poem, Morning Coffee, which is after the painting Orange Car Crash 14 Times by Andy Warhol. Redemption demands creativity. Each brushstroke that glides along the mural of self-forgiveness acts in pursuit of molding coherency between the free-thinking parts. In time, doubt of my humanity surfaces when sociopathy mingles with my innermost soul. Maladroit remorse is left to its own devices. My unwavering will triumphs over my worst decision. It stands aloof on a solitary podium of steel, signaling out to a bewildered crowd. Even when those blighted memories thrust themselves back into my mind, like the marigold leaves that blew over that moonless thoroughfare, I brush them off. I turn the page of my newspaper.
Thank you for that poem. It's a tribute to a work of art. And unlike the typical ekphrastic poem, though, it doesn't so much focus on description of the work of art, but it seems to me that it tries to capture the kind of consciousness, maybe the kind of interiority that arises in the viewer. Our next winning poem is by Abby Kelso, Dear Politicians.
Hi, my name is Abby Kelso, and I'm an 8th grader at Sheridan School. Christopher James Bishop loved teaching German. Ryan Clark, a month from graduation. Caitlin Hemmerin, talented violinist. Alicia White, Joaquin Oliver, Meadow Pollock, Peter Wayne, Clayton Parks, and on and on and on. I could list thousands of names, stories of lives torn apart, bullets piercing, bleeding, bodies beating, hearts hear gunshots and fall silent, and when I am done reading, another name will be added to the list. Your calloused hands claw for bloody bills. Breathlessly, blindly, politicians accept bribery. Like puppeteers, the NRA pulls in politicians and keeps them on a string, paralyzed, hypnotized, as you look in the eyes of injustice's aid, destruction and death, all for a letter grade. You cite Open Doors, a violent video game. Each death you think up something else to blame. You pitiless people profiting off pain, pacify, never rectify this pathetic paradigm, as if lives loved and lives lost amount to nothing, as if you collected our tears, we'd flood the world, washing away the remnants of the lives that you stole. I could build an ark to keep me afloat, with bulletproof windows and a Kevlar raincoat, and still there are more names, more lives owed justice. Henry Lee, Juan Ortiz, Nicole White, Carrie Parsons. Don't you see what you've done? You're blind to the broken hearts, the heartache, the heartbreak. The kindergartners cowering under desks, faces fraught with fear. Just a drill, just a drill. Why is this a drill? You are numb to the frantic I love yous whispered into phones. Don't you see we are the ones who reap the inaction you have sown? So when your eyes are pried open and you see what you've done, I'll send my thoughts and prayers.
Thank you for that stirring poem, Abby, because again, it speaks to contemporary social issues. It brings to mind the quote that poets are legislators of the world. And to quote one of your lines, as if that could only be true, I think we would have eliminated our problems with gun violence a long time ago. Our next winning poet is Shosan Ridley. Shosan's poem is titled 3129.
Hi, my name is Shosan Ridley, and I'll be reciting my poem 3129. 3129 pulled the trigger. The world stands still. His girlfriend is screaming and crying. She's angry and wants to kill him. 3129. He walked away without looking behind. Talked to his radio. We have a situation. I'm frozen as a statue, but began to tear up without hesitation. When he was shot, his body was left open. For me, I remember everything in slow motion. I memorized the officer's face. Long nose, pale skin, and slanted eyes, but his badge number was most important. 3129. He shot him so quickly to stop him, I didn't have enough time. 3 years later, my cousin is buried in the dirt, decaying and alone. So quiet and empty without him at home. Auntie says because I saw what had happened, I'm scarred for life. She's probably right, because I'm terrified to close my eyes, afraid to walk outside, afraid to look at a neighborhood officer and say hi. I can't stand to look at his room door across the hall. Even when I open it, my thoughts will go crazy. I lose my balance, so I can't stand tall. 10-year-old black girl sees her cousin shot by a white man, by a cop, by someone who ran when the gun made its shot. Imagine that, 3129. You damaged a 10-year-old black girl's mind. You murdered her best friend. You damaged his lover. Is this a new trend? Maybe not, because you didn't face any charges, nor did you break a cover. Sisters, heartbroken. His mother, mournful, but no word spoken. His girlfriend won't stop crying and refuses to move on. You took him away from his family, which is the strongest bond. 3129, I hope you hear this and this gets to you, because forgiveness is something I will never do, nor will I act in ignorance and come for you. 2 years later, now I'm 15. I still have nightmares from the horror I'd seen. My mom is struggling. My dad can hardly sleep. Thankfully, my little brother is still carefree. But Auntie still cries at night. When I look in her eyes, they no longer shine. Over the years, I've realized the justice system is unfit. Fred Hampton, Rakia Boyd, Tamir Rice, my cousin. The more I think about it, I slowly lose it. If I protest, I get shot. If I let things slide, I'll have heated thoughts. So, what do I do? The only thing promised in life is death, right? But I have too much ahead of me to die out of spite. So my cousin Jay can watch over me and be proud of his baby girl. Because I'll make a difference. I'll change the world. Thank you.
Again, another just poignant poem. Heartbreaking too, in terms of the narrative of death at too early a time, too young in age, and the consequences for the speaker who's left with the pain of that loss. But I appreciate, again, how the poem takes us toward an ending, a kind of resolution, a defiant resistance, and a sense of resiliency. So beautifully written and beautifully read. Thank you, Shosan. The next winning poem is Passenger by Jermaine Brown, who is an 8th grader at Charles Hart Middle School.
Brown. I'm in the 8th grade from Charles Hart Middle School. I'm about to read the poem, Passenger. I hope you like it. The sun stays the same, but the moon changes its place. The stars stay the same, but the clouds change shape. I don't want to fit in. I am the one who is not the best. The sun stays the same, but the moon changes its place. I am the freight left over from what happened that day. A piece on myself. Bye. I hope you like it.
Thank you for that poem, Jermaine. Again, the wonderful use of metaphor with the passenger, and the poem takes us on a journey. It takes us to unexpected places by use of those metaphors of the sun and stars. And I appreciate the line, I'm the one who is not the best. Again, appreciate that sense of vulnerability and openness that line captures. The next winning poem is by Samuel Mitchell, titled The Hotel, California.
Hi, my name is Samuel Mitchell, and I'm a 12th grader at Sidwell Friends School. The Hotel, California. Years have loosened the threads woven beneath my forehead and cheeks. Yet the tang of iron and zinc still linger on the roof of my mouth, like regret begging to be put to paper. My sick mind thought lead would bring me rest, but lead carried me to where I can never dream. So I drink the ghost of you, like scorching spirits, conjuring small infernos in the back of my throat. You can't enjoy a buzz up here, so I don't understand why we all drink like fish. Just the other day, a lady in all white said, when my mother found me, she held me for 83 minutes straight. 83 minutes, she said, I bled in my mother's arms. Only then did she let those men carry me away. So every night, for 83 minutes straight, I pluck for her blood harmonies until my fingers paint the strings crimson, to drown out her cries, to drown out her screams, though I know my hollowed melodies will never reach her ears. I miss the smell of my mother, because heaven smells like cheap wine in chlorine swimming pools. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful poem, Samuel. Again, a poem of many layers, a poem of complexity. The poem actually has an attribution line. It says, after Pablo Picasso's The Old Guitarist. So it has the gestures of an ekphrastic poem, a poem that describes a work of art, but it's really a poem that sort of, again, I think inhabits the spirit of the work of art. And so I appreciate, again, the way the poem takes us on a journey toward, I guess, a sense of longing as well, a sense of loss, the elegiac sense that the poem resolves with. The next winning poem, Light Always Finds Its Way, was written by Kaya Richards-Aline.
Hi, my name is Kaya Richards-Aline. I attend Howard University Middle School of Mathematics and Science, and I am in the 8th grade. This is my poem, Light Always Finds Its Way. The word in the back of my mind has a night and day. Passed by the sun was a blue jay. Soon the moon glooms over, and the blue jay leading sped forward to the light that has hidden inside the feathers forbidden. The phoenix revealed, the light appealed. Made day again, so now my mind is at zen. There's a river that flows. It appears when I doze. It's only there on good days when my thoughts aren't filled with haze, when they are nice and calm and they haven't been bombed, though that flow can change in an instant and can make me very distant. I listen to the melodies in my head and they calm the riverbeds, so the tides aren't high and the waves haven't dried, so I can smile to my friends and be happy again. The clouds are purple and pink. They match what I think. My thoughts are usually bright and calm throughout the night. But the clouds are sometimes blue. It depends on my mood, because they can become very dark as quick as the light of a spark. That spark burns bright and brings light back into the night, so my mind is beaming once more and I don't have to worry about a storm. The world in the back of my mind has a night and day. It's a joyful world, but sometimes that joy goes away. Sometimes night comes by and the day waves goodbye, but the light always comes back, so I never feel like I lack the happiness in my life that I need to show how happy I can truly be, with my heart heavy in my mind and my thoughts not going blind. The day is welcomed again, and I wave hi to my old friend.
I like the way this poem takes us into the speaker's fantasy consciousness, providing us with lovely imagery and details that reinforce the metaphor. I also like the way that Kaya delights in rhyme and other elements of sound and texture. The next winning poem is by Polly Partridge. It's titled, This World We Live In.
Hi, I'm Polly Partridge. I'm an 8th grade student at Sheridan School, and this is my poem, This World We Live In. We live in this world as a captive of our own insecurities, tangled in its web of doubt and lies, convincing us we aren't good enough, convincing us to strive to be better, prettier, perfect. Models and celebrities are idols who we dream to be, unblemished, flawless, edited to perfection, no room for error because God forbid we make an error. Messages of hate and greed flood our social media feeds, their insults a cleaver, our self-esteem on the chopping block. Every day becoming harder to be who we want to be in this world of insecurity. Girls in the locker room begging to grow a bigger chest, a smaller nose, a tiny waist. None of us give it second thought, none of us even blink in this twisted world we live in. A world where young girls are called thoughts for wearing what they want. God damn it, let the girl do what she wants. Don't give us another reason to hate what we see when we look in the mirror in this tear-stained world we live in. A world that allows a boy to rate another girl at summer camp, a human being you've demeaned by giving her worth a numbered name tag. Just a number to you, but to her it is a tattoo inked into her wounds in this painful world we live in. A world where a girl just wanted to learn, but her professor thought that meant she wanted to have sex for a better grade, because to them we are objects to be played with, toys to wind up and make dance. They can't seem to understand that we don't exist for them in this desperate world we live in. A world where our intelligence is underestimated, where we are told we will be provided for, where we aren't expected to be competent, where we're called dramatic if we show emotion, insane when we prove ourselves, delusional if we have a dream, unhinged when we fight for something, a bitch for speaking our minds in this world where it would be crazy to even try. We all pray for a better future. But no matter how tight we clasp our hands together, prayers are not prophecies, and we cannot see what tomorrow will hold for our rights and our liberties. No one can guarantee a better future because of this twisted, tear-stained, painful, desperate, uncertain world that we live in.
There's another poem full of painful but necessary and deep truths. So I thank you for sharing that passionate advocacy, Polly, that we change this world, that we make it a better society, that we look at the problems and the abuses of patriarchy and misogyny. Again, poignantly disturbing, but so important and vital a voice. And I really appreciate your impassioned delivery of the poem as well. The next poem is The Dawning by Laurel Elliott Wright Strong.
Hi, my name is Laurel Strong. I am a 6th grader at Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C. I will be reading my poem, The Dawning. When the sky is a dark navy and you hear noises, a deep, low growl that was probably your father's snores, and you see a shape in the night that's probably your old stuffed animal. But your stuffed animal didn't have those bright yellow eyes, did it? And your stuffed animal didn't look at you with a hunger that even a starving man couldn't feel, did it? It has begun, the dawning. Soon you will see bright, sharp teeth, teeth like none you've ever seen, like the finest ivory, smooth and elegant, coming to a graceful point, glistening lethally in the moonlight, bared in malevolence, and hear the sound, dark wings spreading wide with a rustle and a shake. But as the sky turns from navy to purple to light lavender, it, that thing, goes away, it retreats, back under the bed, back into your head, and what was the horror of your night is now your mother shaking you awake. But the next night, it comes back, angry and hungry, vengeful but skeletal, knocking on death's door. One last meal, you hear it say, in a voice that was probably the creak of your bed. Low and sure, you say, go away, let me sleep, in a voice masking fear. It has begun, the dawning of courage, with you who uses your voice to fight, the monster under the bed, the fear in your head. So tomorrow, when it returns, it will be nothing more than a nightmare, as weak as your own shadow, soundless, soulless, and dead. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel. I appreciate the use of the metaphor in the poem and how it shifts. I appreciate the details, the specificity with which you name both the object and the specter of feeling, the specter of fear, of the consciousness that inhabits the poem. And then the shift toward the end to bravery, to courage, and again, this sense of overcoming and resilience. So a lovely poem. The next winning poem is by Lauren Destry. It's titled The Package That I Came In.
Hi, my name is Lauren Destry. I am in the 7th grade and I go to Annunciation Catholic School. The poem that I made is called The Package That I Came In. The Package That I Came In. Dear Melanin, from the moment I was born, I always knew I shined as bright as a star. My hair sandy brown, golden as a crown, while my skin toffee, just as dark as coffee. As my skin meets the sun, I remember how perfect of a hue you are. My melanin is a flex, as it glows as I rest. My melanin is popping along with my big hair flopping. My eyes are glowing as I stare. To all of my melanin girls out there, I hope you can see the beauty in your skin.
Wonderful poem, Lauren. I appreciate the spirit of self-celebration in this poem. And I also love your attention to language, your attention to wordplay with rhyme and texture. The next winning poem is titled Great, and it's by Karla Rodriguez.
Hi, I'm Karla Rodriguez. I'm a 10th grader at Parkmont School, and this is my poem, Great. Great. I was just a young girl in elementary school, bite-sized, surrounded by hawks who preyed on the most timid and shy. They chose me. I would be the one they looked down on. I was the one they said wouldn't be noticed. I was invisible. The rest of my class grew stronger, but not me. They ate good meals and drank fresh milk. I didn't. The tall girls wanted to be models when they grew up. I wanted to be an astronaut and fly to the moon. The tall boys wanted to grow tall and be basketball players. I wanted to run, faster than anyone. I love my body. I reach zones that other people can't. I can climb to the treetops, light as a feather. I can crouch gracefully without hitting my head. I can sleep cozy, covered head to toe. I'm bite-sized, but not disabled.
Wonderful poem, Karla. Again, the spirit of self-celebration, the sense of agency, the sense of coming into one's own sense of self and power. And finally, we have the poem Perfect by Eleanor Hansen.
Hi, my name is Eleanor Hansen. I am in grade 6 and I go to Alice Steele Middle School. I will be reading my poem, Perfect. Writer's block. What will I write? I'm not sure what to do when that wall blocks your imagination from going wild, from being perfect. When you're insecure about what school is telling you, what the other kids will say, when you feel like you're weird, and soon you believe that you are alone, and that's weird. When you ask yourself, am I the only one being insecure? And that you should follow the crowd, the trends, the popular kids, because they seem perfect. When you feel silenced, as if you want to scream, I'm not the weird one, I want to be myself, I want to be unique, I want to be different. Because you see that all of the followers are basic, silenced robots that don't feel like they're equal, that they're less than the popular kids. Because the popular kids seem as if their lives are perfect. As if they're on a TV show. But what they don't know about these so-called weirdos is the weirdo that isn't wearing the trendy clothing will start the next trends. The weirdo that doesn't use social media will make more meaningful friendships. And the weirdo that is reading alone at recess is learning more valuable things than petty drama. So to all of those kids feeling insecure, if you are being yourself, you are already perfect. Thank you for listening to my poem.
Thank you and congratulations, Eleanor. That's a lovely ending for the festival. Given the cohort of poets here, middle schoolers and high schoolers, in the midst of your adolescence and grappling with these questions, these concerns around self, establishing, declaring, valuing your selfhood, your voice, this poem speaks to that moment of self-declaration, that sense of understanding, that gaining of access to your power that is going to propel your voice, your ideas, your actions out into the world to grapple with the things that we are all grappling with to make this a better, a stronger, a more empathetic, a more compassionate, a more humane society. And so in the spirit of all of the poems, in terms of their vulnerability, their honesty, their openness, their sharing, and their wonder and awe at life, I applaud all of these poets and their winning contributions this year. I wish you well. I wish you continue to write. I wish you continue to assert your personhood. I wish you continue to assert your power to speak and to transform this world. Congratulations to you all. And thank you to our audience for your attention and participation in this festival.
Hi, I'm Patricia Gray, and a few months ago I was given a big folder of your poems and asked to read them and choose the winners. And your poems, you who are here today for the first virtual festival, Parkmont Poetry Festival, your poems rose to the top. And they rose to the top because of a few things I want to mention to you. For the winning poems, there's an extra pinch of beauty or truth or perspective, angle of view, maybe wisdom, maybe style, the extra pinch of magic that we recognize as good or great poems, great poetry. The winners today have already joined the tradition that goes back centuries before there were written records, because the first poems were spoken, and they were spoken to help the storytellers and elders of the tribes of people. It was to help them remember how the story goes. And the rhymes in poetry help them remember. And another thing it did was it helped people manage the rhythms of their minds. Poetry and intelligence are often oddly connected. I also want to mention that right now, in our own time, poetry is very important because through the haze and difficulty of our life, we're having more difficult times recognizing truth. And the practice of poetry, of reading it and writing it, helps us understand the precision of language, the use of words, and how to get to the bare bones of truth that we need in order to make good decisions in our lives. I want you to know that because you're good at writing poetry, you're also apt to be intelligent people. And the reason is poetry can make you smarter because of what you have to do to write a poem. You have to think clearly, and poetry also lets you use imagination, bring it into the service of reason and logic so that you have a whole picture, not just a partial picture, and you can see truth in everyday life. So I'd like to say thank you for writing these poems, and thank you to the teachers and the parents and the Parkmont Poetry Festival. I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope you continue to read and write poems. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. And thank you, Sharan and winning poets. We started this festival guided by the principles on which Parkmont School was founded, that we want to honor the individual student and to shine a light on their unique gifts. We feel, as we heard in our final poem on this video, that we are all already perfect. We want these students to feel that they may have failed algebra, maybe they didn't make the basketball team, but they wrote a poem, and we recognize that as a distinction, as an excellence, and we celebrate it. We have a generous donor, a poetry angel, that has pledged a matching donation for gifts up to $5,000 made to the Parkmont Poetry Festival. We hope you'll consider making a gift that will be matched dollar for dollar, so that we can continue making festivals such as these. Last year, as an invocation to the festival, I read Lucille Clifton's Blessing the Boats. And this year, it feels fitting to take us out with it. So here, by our very first Poetry Festival judge, Lucille Clifton, is Blessing the Boats. At St. Mary's. May the tide that is entering even now the lip of our understanding carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever. And may you, in your innocence, sail through this to that. I know that in the coming year, we all will sail safely through this to that. And I hope that you'll join us in 2021 for Parkmont Poetry Festival number 39. Thanks so much for watching today.